here we are, it's the Legion Alpha, and we're bringing you Heroic Il'gynoth. I hope I pronounced that right, but hey, it's a weird name, and it's basically a hentai boss. They're bringing back some of the old god look, and as you can see, there's not so much going on right now, but this fight is very deceiving. It starts off really slow and it ramps up and gets absolutely crazy. We've got a 2-phase fight on this, and what you're looking at right now is phase 1. Couple of the main abilities that will end up going off is the Eye of Il'gynoth cannot be damaged by anything except for these bloods that you see that we've got kiting around here. Basically, the whole point of this fight is to add control, add control, add control. The big guy that just popped up, he's a tankable mob. The other one that's going to be the tanking mob is going to be your Dominator Tentacle. Basically, this is your tank mechanic. These are the two ones that need to be tanked. Everything else out of all this trash does not need to be tanked. The blobs, the Ickers, they're called Nightmare Ickers. They're going to end up fixating on somebody, and basically the strat that we used, we kited them around until we got all the ads under control, and then we would come into the eye, we would run a stun rotation, blow them up, and then that would cause damage to the eye. The Nightmare Ickers little blow up phase is the only thing that will damage this boss. Out of all the mobs that you've got in here, you've got the Nightmare Horror, which is the great big mob up front that needs to be tanked, and it's also got a tank swap mechanic to it. What it's going to do with the Nightmare Horror is it's got the Death Glare, and this is your tank swap ability. Basically, this thing's going to shoot a green beam through, and you might have seen it already pop up here, but it's going to shoot a green beam through the tank, and it's going to basically do a huge amount of damage, and then it's going to put a stacking debuff on him that increases the damage by 50% for each stack. We were swapping on 2, I believe, to make sure that the tank stayed alive. That third one was just wrecking, and you'll watch your tank's health just spike every single time afterwards. Here it is, we're actually stacking the mobs up, and the thing about kiting these is they put a debuff on you, and it's a stacking debuff also. For each one, it does increasing taking shadow damage. Pretty insane little deal, but you can dispel this. Dispelling it was good, but usually only after 3 stacks. With that being that way, it's not a waste on the mana. Mana is really tight in this. We were running with 3 healers only. And it was still really good. We did pretty good on the progression. Again, this is the Legion Alpha, so it is tuned for... You weren't supposed to kill this boss. It is heroic, it's a Legion Alpha. We were scaled up to 110 and a formidable item level, but artifact power is a big issue, and the other thing that you've got to think about is they don't want you to kill it, they want to see how the mechanics are being reacted to, so the health pools are through the roof on most of the mobs. So, back into what the ads are. You've got the Nightmare Horror. You've got the Death Glare Tentacle. Basically, this is a mob that needs to have a melee DPS or somebody that can interrupt frequently in Elemental Shaman, something that can end up interrupting it, because it's going to cast Mind Flake, and it does huge shadow damage every 2 seconds over 8 seconds. You want to interrupt this thing as quick as possible. It does not need to be tanked, it just needs to be interrupted. And again, it's a really tough deal to end up doing. And the other one is Corruptor Tentacles. They spew, basically they cast Spew Corruption. And what you're going to see is, you'll see a debuff that'll pop up on you. And whenever it pops up, you'll kind of see what it looks like. I'll try and point it out here real soon. But it helps drop this Nightmare Corruption, which are the red pools underneath the ground. The only things that cause this Nightmare Corruption are going to be the Spew Corruption ability coming from the Corruptor Tentacle, which puts them in a decent priority list, because you'll see it's kind of like a soft enrage, and then the Nightmare Horror itself actually ends up dropping it, so it needs to be kited around. Now, this is the reason why tanks need to face this mob away, because you'll see in just a second what's going to end up happening to me being in the wrong spot because it was faced in our direction and not away from the raid. Tanks, always make sure you face the stuff away, because 2 million damage I cannot heal through. Nobody can, because that's a one-shot. So just keep in mind, it's not a fun piece to end up going through. Again, the whole strat on here is to kite these over, and what we did, we kited them, we got them to where they were all grouped up, we were just taking care of the dispels we needed to, and then we ran a stun rotation. And just watch the health as these things blow up. Now, they do end up blowing up, and they will cause damage to you, and they cause full damage to the eye. They actually do 5% each for each one that blows up, and it took a huge chunk out. Basically, you're going to do this rotation. Right now, I believe we had to do it 2 to 3 times, depending on if we got the big guy down. Because the only way you get the Ickers out is by killing the mobs. You kill the eyes, you kill the tentacle, or I'm sorry, you don't kill the eye, you kill the tentacles, you kill the big guy, and then you'll end up spawning the stuff out. That's the easiest way to end up getting this done. You get the Ickers out, and instead of going through and swapping your DPS back again, kill them all off, kite the stuff around, and then get it drawn in, run a stun rotation, and just nuke them down real quick, and you'll be good to go. Now, the Nightmare Corruption itself, what it's going to do is if you end up getting this debuff, and you can see that the mage off to the side's actually dropping it right now, the Nightmare Corruption. And if you're standing in this, it's going to pacify you, it's going to silence you, and it's pretty easy to notice because it changes your screen. But some of the stuff was really hectic trying to learn this thing in an hour, and we did pretty decent, but at the same time, it was only an hour, and everything was tuned way up. So keep that in mind. Again, guys, alpha testing, not made to be killed. You'll see a couple people spam, hey, we ended up getting it, blah blah blah. They're lying through their teeth. No chance in hell. So that's going to be that. And then you'll see we'll get another pull in here at the very beginning, and I believe it starts at the beginning of every eye phase. And the reason why I say every eye phase is because you're going to go phase 1, phase 2, and then phase 1 and phase 2 again. More than likely on live, that's the way it'll go, unless you've got some extremely kick-ass DPS that go in there and just destroy it. Now, if you watch, we've got the new tentacles that are up here. We've got 3 of them that are doing the spew, and then 1 on the very far side over there that's actually doing the mind flay. And what these guys are going to end up doing all the time is just continually casting this on somebody. And here I am, I'm dropping it down, and there's the change. That's the pacify. Really hard to deal with, but we got to get as you can see, our grouping's a little bit off on how we should end up dumping it. A little more coordination and time, this would have been really good, and we would have probably seen a bit more of phase 2. We did get to phase 2 a few times, but not very many. And when we got into phase 2, you think this looks hectic? It only gets worse. Phase 2 is extremely tough. So again, rinse and repeat. You're going to want to kill all these ads, just kite them around, get these bloods over. You'll get them down to 0 hit points, and then you'll start seeing that pulse going on. Now these are the two other tankable mobs at the very beginning of the fight, and I believe the beginning of every ad phase. And what these ones are, they're the Dominator tentacles. Basically, they're going to do a ground slam. You want to try, there's a ground slam right there. The next thing that they're going to do is Nightmarish Fury, and they're doing it right now, and they just pummel on the tanks. Use a little soft mitigation cooldown, and that your regular mitigation cooldown, that should end up helping you out. And then the other thing they'll do is Rupturing Roar. If there's nobody tanking them or in melee range, which if someone's in melee range and they're not the tank, they're going to die anyways. But what they'll do is they'll cast Nightmarish Fury, and this is just basically, hey, make sure you're tanking these guys because it's going to do a bunch of damage. Not a rough situation on those guys at all. The only thing that's bad about them is you got to get them down before you get the Nightmare Horror out. If not, the tank's more than likely going to die, or he's going to wipe the raid because he's not going to be able to adjust 100% correctly. The Nightmare Horror is the last thing you're going to want to end up targeting in our experience in this fight. And again, this is just another pickup group that I got into, but we did pretty decent. I believe most of them were actually gilded, and it was a good run. We were using voice chat on this one, and we did fairly well for an hour of progression, guys. Most pugs, if they were to come into this normally, probably would have died really quick because there's so much going on. Now you've got the big guys sitting here again, and again, tanks, you're going to want to end up doing your tank swaps on 2 stacks because it's 30 seconds on the debuff. That should give you enough time to end up getting the next one off, so you can actually do your tank swaps correctly. If it doesn't happen, you're gonna die on that third one no matter what. 150% increase on something that's doing, I want to say, base before any cooldowns or anything, it's like 2 million in health. So just to give you an idea. And again, back to the kiting. Make sure you're coming through healers. You're going to want to dispel, but wait until 3 stacks. Other than that, the dot doesn't hit hard. People were running out on the first few attempts we did this. They were running scared from these things like they were doing a lot of damage. They don't do any actual melee damage. They just apply this debuff to you that increases the dot damage, and it's nothing that bad. And if you do a stun rotation on them, they can't hit you. So that just basically, this is going to be the easiest strat. Looking at cleaning up the pools a bit, and then once this is live and everything's balanced, normal's probably going to be extremely easy, and the heroic version, it's probably not going to be too much different, at least for this first phase. Now when we come into the second phase, that's going to change up quite a bit. And I really can't stress enough, guys, this fight is all about ad control. Every little piece on it. It's not a hard fight. It's not very heal intensive, except for the burst heals. Every now and then, the other thing you want to do also is stay spread out, because every now and then the eye itself will actually cast what's called Nightmare Gaze. And when it casts this, it basically goes towards a fixed target. It just looks at somebody, and then it's going to shoot him with this gaze. But the problem is, if you're too close, it chains, and this actually does increase damage per target hit. So definitely want to stay spread out a bit, and you'll see every now and then this beam just come out and do some really hard damage to somebody, and then that's it, nothing else. I didn't really see it chaining too much. That might be something that needs to be fixed, but currently it was enough. And there it goes right there, that nightmare beam. Guys, fight absolutely amazing. Cannot say anything else about it. I mean, it was a really good fight. We had some really good pulls, really good attempts, and it's really self-explanatory once you get in here and you start looking at it a bit. The strategy, if you end up doing this kite strat to where you're running around and just kiting these ads, nobody's getting the dot, and then whenever you actually pull back in, and it usually seems like they fixate to a ranged if a ranged is available and in there, so it makes the kiting a bit easier. As you go through this fight though, if you're not dispelling, if you're not taking care of it, and everyone's not doing their part, you're gonna run and you're gonna run quick. I'm sitting at that point right now, and as you can see, there's nightmare corruption everywhere. People are getting pacified. We completely closed off what we needed to, but we're still gonna end up getting this eyeball down and get into the second phase, just not on this pull. And as you can see, this is phase 2. Here we go, dun 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 dun, roaring in here, and all of a sudden here comes this brand new mechanic, and this thing is absolutely phenomenal. You're gonna have to learn, get the coordination down, get your healer spread just right, because stage 2, what you're doing is you're going in, you're gonna destroy the heart. This is going to be your lust phase. You're going to want to burn this thing as quick as possible, and the reason for that is because Dark Reconstruction, it's going to gather psychic energy to reseal its lair, killing all left inside and regrowing the eye. Basically, you want to get out before the energy bar refills. You can see the cast bar on the right. It's going to keep filling up, and when it gets full, it's going to put the eye back up and kill everybody inside. The other ability that you're seeing in the big circle is called Cursed Blood. It infects players with nightmare energy, inflicting mild ticking damage every 2 seconds for 8 seconds. After this, it'll explode and detonate for huge damage for everyone inside your circle. Big deal on getting spread. You can see the circle, but you're going to have to end up using a lot of this range. Bigger groups are probably going to have an issue with this. You're probably going to want to just send your damage dealers in and your healers, and your tanks honestly should probably stay outside. And the reason for that, you want to go into this phase with no ads. Alright, there's another mechanic tied to this room. It's called reabsorption. If any of the Ickers enter the room with the heart, it will be absorbed and do a large amount of shadow damage. It's not specific in the, we didn't get the tested at all, but it's not specific on whether this is damage to the heart, to do extra damage there, or if it's damage to you, the player. Being called reabsorption, I'm gonna guess it's the player, but if the health on this thing is set correctly, it may be the other way around and be against him. So, all things considered, that was phase 2. Not a lot going on in there. That's your burn phase. That's where you got to make sure everyone stays alive, and you get into that. If you work these mechanics right, you deal with the ad control. Again, it's all ad control. You got to interrupt the mind plays. You got to make sure you're tearing down the ads completely. Tanks got to make sure they're doing their taunt swaps correctly and picking up the Dominator tentacles when they pop back up. Lots and lots and lots of things going on in this fight. You got to make sure that you're setting your pools of crap on the ground just right. Good little circles. Multiple things to watch for in this fight. Really good, enjoyable. Had a lot of fun doing this one. Had a really good group when we did it, and I really can't say too much else on this fight, guys. I mean, you've got the Corruptor tentacles. They're spewing corruption. You can see them right now, and that's gonna end up doing just a regular dot and making you put pools of shit on the ground. And then you've got the Dominator tentacles right at the beginning that you got to end up making sure they go down so the tanks can pick up the Nightmare Horror. So much ad control, guys. I really hope that you can take this, you can look at it, take it to your guilds, be like, okay, we've got a little piece of insight of what's going on, and hopefully whenever we get a little more testing involved, because they'll recycle this one back out, it'll be a little more tuned and we can see exactly how it's playing. But again, whole fight, just ad control. Make sure you get it here. Set up a stun rotation. Start thinking about this stuff right now, guys, because I don't think this fight's going to change too terribly much except for health pools. It was really tight knit, felt really good. The Ickers, I mean, they put them on a set 5% of its health, so basically you got to blow up on heroic mode. You have to blow up 20 of these Ickers next to them. Alright, with 20 of these Ickers blowing up next to this thing, you're going to be smooth sailing. But the problem is they seem to count exactly perfect. So if you miss one of them, you're going to have to do another phase 1 rotation before you can blow this thing up. And if you have all these extra ads, guess what, guys? You're not going to get anything. And again, you cannot do any real damage to this eye because 99% of the damage is reduced from all sources except for these Nightmare Ickers blowing up. Alright, well, we're definitely running into the end here. Take a few more looks at the mechanics. Again, get ready for this fight. If not, it's going to be rough because this is like the second or third boss in the Emerald Nightmare, guys. So, just something to think about. If this is a second boss in the second raid, it's absolutely nuts. Not that hard, a lot of coordination though, and when you get into that second phase, it'll end up changing quite a bit. Again, thanks guys. I really hope you enjoyed this video. If you did like it, drop it a like, drop it a subscribe, share it with your friends. It doesn't matter to me. I'm here for the entertainment. I'm here to get you guys all the content that you can end up seeing, and just I hope you enjoyed it. That's the main part. Got plenty more coming out, but that is the last for now. I do have another raid video coming real soon. Thanks.